Hello. I guess it's time to start this. Oh, close enough. I don't care. All right. So what we're doing tonight is I'm going to be working on some code and answering any questions that have been asked get asked in the chat and get asked or have been asked already in the thread that I posted to Discord earlier this week. Um, if you didn't have time to post to that thread and you aren't going to make the live stream tonight, that's fine. If there's enough interest, we'll probably do another one. I don't know when, so eventually. Depends how interested people are. Um, yeah, so let's just get into it. Right now, I'm working on part of the overhaul that I've been working on for the last month. Essentially, what I'm doing is trying to make the system more similar to how Foundry already does it. I wasn't sure when V11 was coming out. It came out like 2, 3 days ago now. Um, so we'll see how this interacts, and I might just roll in the uplift to V11 as part of this overhaul. So yeah, so this whole thing runs on the idea of attributes being inherited by the parent. So an actor inherits all attributes from any items that are on it and any active effects. Hey, thanks for joining the stream. So what it does is an actor inherits everything from its items. It inherits everything from and items can be anything from a blaster, a piece of armor. Let's see what else. What other things are there? Oh, classes, feats, talents, and that all of that gets sucked up into this get inheritable attribute method. Um, so I had built my own homebrew attribute system in this thing. The same thing kind of already exists in Foundry, and I just wasn't using it. And they're called changes. So there's attributes and changes in Foundry. I've changed all of them over to changes so that they're more consistent and easier to understand for me. Um, yeah, I I was working on this last night and I got tired and I was having problems, so I put some notes for myself here. What's going on is the old attribute system used an override checkbox, and that check if it was overriding um, a an attribute that had a certain key would overwrite any other attribute with that key that didn't also have that checkbox checked. Well, Foundry has a different system where instead of an override boolean or a true false, it has a mode. So that mode is a numeric value like 1 through 6, and it represents either being an add, a subtract, an override, so that's where that comes in, or an upgrade or a downgrade. Um, so I'm trying to essentially redo this override section down here. So this is the override. This does all the work for overrides. I'm trying to refigure that so that it also handles add modes and stuff like that. Um, yeah. So then the other thing this does is, which I thought was very clever in doing, and I still think it's a good idea to have, is I have a reduce function. So in programming, there's the idea of map and reduce. Mapping, it takes if you have a whole bunch of values, it does one. A map is doing one thing to each of those values. It does the same thing. Reduce is collecting all those values at the end and combining them in some way. So that's what this reduce does. It collects all of the attributes that have been collected from all of the child items and effects, and it combines them in some way. So this is going to be kind of a headache because, for instance, I have a reduce that's a sum. It just sums everything in there. Well, if you have now that there are modes involved where sum might be subtract, I have to figure out how a attribute that's a subtract attribute is summed up. In this case, I think it's going to be more of a generic, or it's going to just be subtracted. It's going to be treated as a negative, but then I have to worry about multiply. So that's kind of what I'm going to be working on tonight, and I don't really know where I'm going with it yet. I think I'm just going to take it one at a time and see see what I come up with. Um, all right. Well, let's start with a question. We have a couple that were put in the thread earlier this week. The first question was, "How's the family? Family's doing well. My son is 6 months in a week or so. Um, he's good size, healthy, learning a lot. He's hitting his milestones. Um, I don't really know what else to say. He's a baby. Babies are fun. I like having him there, having him around. My wife's doing well. We're both back at work now. Um, I yeah, we were. She was giving me grief because I had more parental leave than she did. Only by like 2 weeks though. So okay, so let's work out a little bit on this. Okay, gotta figure out. So I think the first thing I'm going to have to do. So we're going to pop back over to where this is being called. That is. Oh, I don't even know why I would be calling it there. That's okay. Oh, I think it's okay. I think that's within the existing function. Okay. So I think what we have to do first is get rid of this. This is going to cause us problems if we're doing it, if we're trying to handle overrides here and in the reduce function here. Uh, oh, okay. That's where it's being called. It's being called there and there also. You have a question about the defenses overall. Okay, what's your question? Live questions I will answer right away so I don't forget them. I will slowly move through things in the thread throughout the evening. Okay, so let's see if we have. And that's just it's just looking at the attribute value. Would it be possible to have way to override them right away? Um, so right now there are two kinds of character sheets. One of them is a manual one. You're doing a creature right now. Okay, so there is a yeah. So there's a couple of different ways you can do that. And after this overhaul, it'll actually be easier as well. And actually, we can probably just bring this up. Yeah, let's bring up a debug window and take a look at what it looks like on the new. Well, it's not quite done, but yeah. Um, have a way to overwrite them. No, that's okay. That's what this is for. I wasn't expecting to get a ton of work done, especially on such a core part of the thing, anyways. So, okay. So what we got? Oh, that's weird. There you go. Yeah, let's look at. It's gonna take a second. I still need to optimize some of the loading. That's why it takes a while to be ready to go. Also, I don't like that there's no indicator of when it's ready, except if you double click, it doesn't open until it's ready. Actually, we could switch back to the IDE real quick. Oh, it's actually broken at the moment. Oh yeah, I broke this. This is part of what I'm currently working on. It's all okay. So I think we can look at. If we look at items, I think we can use an example there. So this is one of the cool. This is one of the things I've been working on. So now, okay. So your question was how to override them right away. So actors will have a new tab called effects, and you'll be able to go in here and you'll be able to it'll look identical to this one. All inherited effects are going to be disabled down here. So these are ones that are coming from some other object, some other child object. The ones that are active up here, these are ones that are directly on the item. So this blaster pistol specifically has an ammo one. It has damage one. I was messing around with these. This isn't really. It probably should be add. And I added some test ones. So you're going to be able to come in here and you'll be able to click here. And oh, I just broke that. Okay, so that's a bug. But oh, I didn't even. How did I do that? We'll have to figure that one out. That's cool. But yeah, you'll be able to add an attribute like this, and it will be. I don't remember what the specific defense attribute is, but you'll be able to add that here, add a value, and it will directly add to the sheet. So in the past, what you had to do is add a trait, and so you'd go into, let's see, you'd go into the compendiums, you'd go down to traits, and this was kind of just a workaround, and it would be a, and you can do this. This is still how it's done on unstable. There's a GM bonus trait here, and you'd click on this, and of course nothing looks correct because this is the new interface, but with the old data. So you would drag this onto the sheet, and you'd get options of how to do it, and it should have a defense bonus option. If it doesn't, I can release a patch back to that to make sure I add that in, because that should have that. Um, does that answer your question? Right now, there isn't a great way of doing it. The other option is, though, if you're doing a manual sheet, you can directly edit those. Does that answer your question? I'm trying to do it as we speak. Okay. Well, yeah, let me know. Okay, so why? Okay, I bet if I go thing here, I bet if I go like that, I go like this, it's just going to erase it. Why is it doing that? Let's see. Okay. So when I click on that, that is on the item. It's going to be on the item sheet here. That's going to be. Did I somehow add an additional? It should be a change control. Yeah, so those are all called changes. So it's in a method called change control that actually makes sense. Yay me. Okay, so if I go back here, I click this. I go to the debugger. All right, it's an add. All right. Changes. Okay. All right, so on the update path system.changes, that's correct. Changes. What is it doing here? Okay, it is updating. All right, that looks like it's fine. That should update correctly. It must be something I added later. Must be something on the item load, perhaps? Alright, so it might be treating it like a legacy item. So maybe actually the answer is to go here, go back to change control, and this should have a mode of, let's see, should be mode. I think mode of 1 is add. Okay. Let me just double check what that mode is supposed to be. It is. We got in the little tiniest window here. Also, is the text large enough to be seen if you care to look at the text? I didn't even check. I can do a no. So I found talent, feat, health point, force, and skills, but no defenses under the GM bonus. Okay, so I might just not have added it. A lot of that was by request, so I will go back and make sure I add that. Yeah, so actually now I can do a quick little how to log a new issue. Most people haven't had a problem with this. I think one person was a little confused, and I had to send some documentation. But as long as you're logged in, you go to issues, you click new issue, and you just make one. So we're going to make an issue for add GM bonus trait bonus trait for defenses. And that's going to be count. It's going to count as an enhancement. We're good to go. Yes, I have seen that you've added a bunch. I was actually very surprised when I came in here and saw it was nearing 50. Thought I had done a really good job of knocking this down before I started my overhaul, but it looks like right after I started, they kind of flooded in. That's okay. We'll knock out the overhaul should make newer updates easier to do. So, um, okay. Let's do a quick. Oh, I know why I'm in the wrong file. So item sheet has that. The same tech as health point. Oh, like the override thing for. Yeah, I think we can. I can probably do that. Um, I don't remember why. Yeah, I don't remember why I didn't do that. Maybe I just did the health one specifically and didn't move on to the next one. Yeah, that's something we can probably add. Yeah, the other option is you can go in and probably edit like your classes or something and change the bonus to adjust it to get where you want it. But I did see it does look like I remember going through and like when I was generating the data for beasts, it looks like it doesn't. It's really hard to like. It doesn't translate to the actual rules very well. A lot of the beasts were very I had a hard time making it like use the. I couldn't use the beast builder to build any of a lot of the beasts in there, and maybe I was missing something, but it looked like they were more like this is how I feel this beast should be, and which is totally fine. That works. It's just yeah, when you're going through and you're trying to programmatically create these things and they don't follow the same rules as the rule set given, it makes it a little harder. Okay, so I am trying to find. There is a specific enumeration. Beast class is not working well with the defenses. I'm not surprised. The amount of rules around the beast class make it kind of weird. Yeah, there are a lot of rules in the system. However, I do think that like compared to like I play a lot of Pathfinder besides this game. I feel like it has fewer rules than Pathfinder, and some of them are actually better written. Again, Pathfinder has a ton of rules, but and some of them are also better written than the ones in this one. But yeah, there's some awful ones. Okay, so this is the enumeration I was looking for right here. I want to see what add is. Add is 2, so I did that one wrong, and that was in listeners. We want to go mode of 2. Okay. Let's go to the second question in the thread. Why have you decided to develop the Star Wars Saga Edition system? The reason is because I convinced some of my friends to play a Star Wars game with me. Um, Hello, welcome to the stream. Um, yeah, I convinced them to play a Star Wars game with me, and we started playing on Foundry because it was during the pandemic, and kind of we were just using like the simple one, and I thought, I can do a little better than this. I can do some put some helper stuff in, and slowly I just started going, well, why don't I just make my own system? And it kind of just turned into another little side hobby. Um, you can never have too many little side hobbies. Okay, so I think that actually should fix the problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to refresh. Developing for with Foundry can be kind of interesting. I don't think I'm doing it in the best way. I just haven't found a better way that is easy to do. I was trying to run like a headless server and test against it, but it kept timing out and doing weird stuff. So actually, I have just the basic application running down here, and that's how I'm running against it. Um, Rerunning the debug usually refreshes this correctly. Sometimes it doesn't. Um, Whenever you hit F5 after making a code change, you have to refresh twice sometimes in order to get the code change to populate. um, yeah, I need I keep I have to go back into the there's a like a guild of Foundry developers chat. That probably could answer my questions on how to do that correctly. I just haven't taken the time to do it. All right, so I am trying to figure out why when I go into effects and I add one and it's debugging, we don't need to see what it does. Oh, okay, so that was the problem. I added some new legacy update logic and it broke everything. Okay. So the other thing that was added is being added with this is a better way of handling modes. Modes used to be their own homebrew thing. Modes in the future are going to be. Oh, and this is because it uploaded things incorrectly when I first started. Modes are now are active effect items or active effect objects, which are a Foundry, like a built-in Foundry thing. And this is how they're supposed to. This is actually completely how they're supposed to be used. This is anytime you have a token and you come over here and let's zoom in so you can. Oh no, I don't want to roll. I want to. No. Oh, there we go. All right. So if you anytime you come in here and use this one, yeah, status effects. These are all active effects that you can apply. These are like the default ones that come, like are just built into Foundry, and you can like, as you can see, I've added like the condition effects and the shield effects for this game, but I haven't actually removed any of the base game ones. I probably should clean some of these up, but I figured that having more is better, uh, even if they don't. I mean, I don't think a little like a shield, a holy shield is completely applicable, but it might be applicable to somebody's game where it makes sense to use. So I left everything in there. All right. Anyways, so now all modes are treated as active effects. You can toggle them from here. In the future, right now I can't show the actor sheet because I broke it. Um, but you will be able to toggle them the same way you did in the past. So currently, so on the old version of modes, they had groups, and you could, when you clicked one in the group, it would disable the other ones. I'm still going to add that functionality, but it's going to be, I think, a better system. The old one just had a generic string, and it would look for other ones that had that string. But this one's actually going to link to the other active effects, and when you enable one, it'll disable the other, etc. It's also going to have parent and child effects, so that if you disable a parent, all of its children are going to act disabled. If you enable it, they'll work like they normally would. I think that'll kind of let you build out some more advanced abilities that exist in this game, because there are a lot of very niche effects that are like that. So the other thing I've been working on, the active effects have their own. Oh, I don't care about this. Okay, I was debugging that for some other reason. Continue. Um, okay, so I was building out this sheet. Again, this is where you can. Man, I was really debugging everywhere, wasn't I? Okay. So this is the same toggle. So if you see it updates on that sheet, updates to that sheet. Um, Built into active effects is a duration. This doesn't really interact with anything. It just kind of tells you uh, what the intended duration is. So I left it on there. That's a feature in Foundry that I just exposed for these. But yeah, as you'll see, same exact thing. Ooh, is this going to break the same way? No, this one was working correctly. It's a different file. Okay. Um, so yeah, when this thing is enabled, it should add to back over to this one. So in this case, like damage, it's actually going to add. So in this case, you would want to do an override. Same thing with damage. This for stun, it should be stun, but I was testing the updating. Oh, that's broken. Good to know. So this is going. These are both going to be overrides, and oh, that's very broken. Oh well, that'll be fun to fix. Okay. And so when you would look then at this effect sheet, it should override any damage and damage types that are already here. So it shouldn't inherit past that. Cool. I'm trying to remember what my train of thought originally was. Oh, So modes now take advantage of active effects. Modifications do as well, and as you'll see, they now show up on this screen. And instead of having, um, in the past, they were an item that existed on the actor sheet, and they were kind of like told that they shouldn't appear on the actor sheet and they should appear on this item instead. And it was a very complicated system. It was really easy to just have invisible items on your sheet that and just start bulking up on data size. So I've moved it to this. So now, well, we can clear these off, and you can see that it changed the name of it actually because that was the prefix there was inherited. So over here I have dragged this from the compendium. This is exactly how it is in there. When you drag it onto here, it creates an active effect from that item, and you'll see that yeah, it actually has added the prefix on here, um, and so now you have an Arcanian blaster pistol instead of a regular blaster pistol. If you click on this, it's still blaster pistol because that's the original string. You can still edit this, so we can call it the pew pew, and now it's an Arcanian pew pew. So it just adds that prefix. And if you want to get rid of that, that is a thing you can do. You can come in here into the effects page, and you'll see this prefix thing, and you can just trash it. And then of course I'm in the debug mode everywhere, so it goes there. Let's go back, and you'll see it gets rid of it. That's kind of cool. This is kind of unchanged. If you look at the stripping rules or weapon stripping or item stripping rules, you can uh, remove things like you can reduce the range, and it will increase the number of upgrade points you have available. Nice. I like that you know what mods have been added. God, I wish it's on Roll20. So that was the other thing when we were getting ready to play. So the game I was running was a Knights of the Old Republic era game, taking place right after the Dark Wars, and I looked around. I looked at Roll20 to see if I could find a sheet on there. I didn't find one. I've been told multiple times since that it exists. I just didn't see it when I was doing my original look. Um, and so that was the other thing that pushed me to start making this because I'm like, well, I mean, there's nothing for this game to go play, so I better start. And by the time I found out that there was a sheet, was already actually pretty far along making this thing. So, one of the other things is on the summary page. So this is where you would normally come to, you can click on here, you can change the description. Um, get rid of test. There you go. Update, saves it. Anything that has any of the I think modes, anything that has a what is it called? Oh no, it pulls from here. So right here we have a description. Uh, this effect is active. So if you come back over here to the description page, you'll see that it has an entry for that. You can click it, open it, and it'll add that to this page. I wasn't sure how useful this would be, but I didn't want you to have to dig through to find descriptions. So I thought pulling them all as far up as I could would be a good way to go. You know what? I was feeling like I was spinning my wheels a little bit on in this last month when I was working on this, but now I'm seeing I actually did do a lot. It's been a while, so I kind of forgot. I didn't forget about all the stuff, but I did kind of forget about it. um, so far, provided items aren't. I don't know if I'm going to keep this. So the idea behind this was if there was another item that needed to be added when you added it, it would add that item. Um, I think I might be able to make that as part of this. Just make a provided and then name the item. Um, but we'll see. Might make more sense to keep this here. Maybe this will turn into that like item linking hierarchy thing. So like if you have any items that are parents of this or children of this or you know that can go here. We can turn this into a more something that covers more stuff. Oh, thanks for saying that. I do really appreciate all the support you guys have given me. Since I started the Discord, I have gotten nothing but like thank yous and praise. I think I got one guy who was a little snippy one day, and everyone like told him to shut up. You guys actually have been really really great, so I do appreciate that. All right, I am going to go to the next question that I have in the thread. Have you noticed any positive impact on your coding skills after working on the system for more than 2 years now? Um, yeah, so that's kind of a weird question because okay, so I didn't really write a lot of JavaScript before this. I am primarily a Java developer. I write I write in Ruby. I write in all sorts of stuff, but I really never touched JavaScript because so JavaScript kind of has this bad reputation in the coding community as like is just like this really nasty, dirty language that you don't want to use, and it has. I mean, there's a good reason for that. It is a very do whatever you want kind of language, and you can write really awful code in it. And that's kind of why people don't like it. So I hadn't used it a lot, and that's also because I had never did done web development. I write services. I yeah for a living. I haven't done a lot of web development before. Not professionally, anyways. So a lot of the early code in this is awful because I didn't know how to write JavaScript. And I think, and there's still a lot of it that, like a lot of the core functionality of this thing is just written on really awful code. I was finding some last night that I'm just like, this is gnarly. So the answer is yes. My coding skill has vastly improved in JavaScript. I now write much cleaner, better looking JavaScript that's actually readable, and that's a good start. Um, let's see, coding skills though. The other thing about this project is before this, I've been an educator. Like so, I've mentored and taught other engineers how to do test-driven development, behavior-driven development, just in general. A lot. I'm a very testing-focused engineer normally. Right before starting this project, though, I watched a video about how important it is that uh, when you're doing a side project for yourself, that you don't write tests. Um, and I took that to heart, and I didn't write any tests when I started writing this. And it kind of just this project has grown a little big. It's gotten a I don't remember. Yeah, I don't even remember the reason for why you shouldn't write tests. I don't. It probably wasn't even a good reason, um, but I kind of went with it. And now I am slowly writing acceptance tests as I need to change stuff, um, and it's getting better. But there's still. I also don't have a great testing environment around this because, again, first time writing JavaScript, I went, how do you write tests in JavaScript? I go, oh, Jest is the way. Okay, I open it up. I try to run it, and it doesn't even compile the code that I have written that runs perfectly fine when I'm running Foundry. So there is still some work to be done. I haven't taken the time to go back and fix my mistakes as far as testing goes, but we'll get there. So that yeah, we're gonna get there. I'm gonna try to get my backlog down to like maybe if I when I get down to 20, I'll start working specifically on tests. But during this overhaul, I have actually added some framework to make testing easier. I just haven't. Besides like acceptance tests for these specific changes, I haven't gone back and backfilled any tests yet. Yeah, so that was a fun choice that I made a couple years ago. But um, really though, it's a very responsive. The workflow I'm using is very responsive, anyways. I usually can find most bugs, but obviously some fall through, um, and that's why, yeah, I usually try to respond to those pretty quickly because yeah, I don't want you guys to miss out on the game because I broke everything. Um, all right, I'm trying to remember where I was at. I think I was working on the attribute helpers. All right, so we got rid of the overrides that were up here. We are not going to sort by key here. That's not happening anymore. That was an old idea. We're going to go down here. All right, so each of these is going to need. It's very possible that some modes will not be supported in a given thing. Um, just Bob Ross, the whole thing is. A little bit. Um, I mean, as you'll see, I'm using the Comic Code font. I had an engineering friend at work who said you need to make sure you're using a very relaxed font because you're doing very intense things. So you need something to kind of keep you chill. So I'm using Comic Code. It actually is it's a monospace language or a monospace font, and it actually is the only way I like Comic Sans. Comic Sans is hideous in most cases, and I think actually it is because the kerning is so off. But this actually looks nice for me, and I'm kind of a big fan. So okay, so what's going to happen is during this map. Earlier I was talking about map and reduce, and yeah. So as you see, this is an array of values. It maps all those values into a new array. Um, Essentially, each value in this array is run through this, becomes a value in the new array, and then that's put into this reduce function, which looks like it's summing it all up. So yeah, happy little mistakes. There you go. Okay. I think the map function is actually correct. It's going to resolve the value array, and yeah, so this resolve value array is actually pretty interesting. Um, because JavaScript is a loose typed language, which means you can have an array that has a number, a letter, an object all together. You kind of you can take advantage of that, like I have. So um, saying saying the number 5 or saying 1d20. 1d20 is a string. It's letters. So it needs a more complex function to handle that, and if it ever tries to treat that as a number, it gets really upset. So it's a benefit because you can do all sorts of cool things within the same array. It's awful because now you have to be careful about what's in the array. So it is what it is. Um, Total times multiplier. It's a multiplier of 1. Oh, so it's already doing multiplication in here? Oh boy. This is really good, except that now it's kind of getting in the way of what I want to do for my future work. Okay, if it starts with that, then it adds a multiplier. That makes sense. Okay, we're just going to leave that as is. I think it would break a lot of stuff if I removed it, and I don't think it's actually harming anything here. Okay, but it is. Oh, okay. So I need to do value mode. That mode is going to be attribute dot mode. Okay, what did I do wrong there? It's not a label. It's an oh, because it doesn't like it when I do that. Okay. And this is one of the problems with JavaScript. So it doesn't mind it if you use a single function call like this, but it does care if you're trying to return a full object like that. So the syntax changes drastically depending on what you're trying to do, and that is annoying to a lot of people, including me. But I mean, it worked out. So okay, so now we have A and B coming in. A and B. If A is equal to 0, so this is an object now and not a number. Dot value equals 0, and B dot value is not a number. then we're going to return B. Okay. Alrighty. B is the new one. So what we need to then do... Yes, I see you. You're a very cute kitty. Okay. Okay. So this is a simplified kind of if statement. So essentially this is the conditional, and then everything after the question and before the colon is the true, and everything after the colon is the false. It's really great for simple stuff. It's awful for any kind of complicated thing. It gets really hard to read really fast. And this is definitely getting to the point where it's hard to read. So we're just going to change that into an if. Okay. Buffy, please don't climb my chair. I'd appreciate that. So that is equivalent to that, and that. Alright, so if the second thing is garbage, just return the garbage, because that means we don't know what to do with this. Otherwise, add A to B. This is where we have to get complicated because of what B could be. So okay, so if B is override, that gets weird. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is assume that all the overrides are at the end. I'm going to sort by... If I sort by the mode, that would help. Override is 5, yeah. Alright, any questions from the chat? How are you guys doing? Oh, well, Dark Horde Emperor, I really appreciate that. My take on it is, this is actually this is all actually a lot of very small, simple things that you build up over time. Um, I think most people can learn how to do this. It just you have to enjoy doing it to get to the point of being able to put it all together like this. Um, so like what I'm doing now is uh, these are the kinds of modes that each value can have, uh, and it's called an enumeration. So it just associates a string with a number in this case, and that's not exactly what they always do, but in this case, it's what it's doing. So I have to make branching logic for each kind of mode because it's going to be a little different. So in this case, um, if Oh, let's do. Actually, we're gonna do a switch statement. So this is like a an if, but like more iffy. Quick question. You add some blue color and some skills, initiative, and perception. I think I recall you saying that at some point we'd be able to apply it to any skill you want. Yeah, so that's my plan. It's probably going to be kind. So I think a lot of the stuff is going to be added via like a right click window functionality. Um, so like what you were talking about earlier with the defenses, I think you're right. I think it's a good idea to add them as a right click modify. I think also being able to add a color overlay on that would be good too with a right click. It makes it feel more like a native application. Yeah, no, you're very cute, kitty. Thank you for smacking me. Um, B dot mode. Okay, so if in the case that B is add, we're gonna do the original thing. In the case of subtract, so is it sub or subtract? There we go, subtract. There we go. It's gonna be a minus. Okay. Oh, I have a feeling I'm gonna go for a walk tomorrow and come back and think of a brand new way of doing all of this. That's the other trick to programming. If you ever get stuck on something, get up, walk away, and find something else to do for a little bit. Okay, so multipliers in this game are usually added after, so we're actually going to do a reverse order of operations. I think sorting is going to be the best way to go. We're gonna do a sort before we do this reduce switch here, I think. That should fix the problem. But for here, we want multiply. Oh, I see why it's not working. I deleted the S. There we go. All right, and upgrade and downgrade, I might have to look up. How often would you say you pass on updating the system? What do you mean pass? Like, I decide not to do, like, what kind of update would I be passing on, I guess, is the question. Oh, like how often do I work on this? Yeah, usually it varies a lot. Uh, yeah, some weeks if like things are quiet at work, I'll work like 3 or 4 days on it, for an hour or two a day. Um, some days I get if my wife's going out and I get my son down for a nap, I'll get like a couple days on the weekend or a couple hours on the weekend kind of thing. Yeah, usually though it's yeah, I don't think I go above like 6 hours a week though. I used to. Yeah, like yeah, last year before my son was born, some nights I'd do like 6 hours in a sitting and just hack away at it. All right, let's see. We're gonna go with number four here. Do you know roughly how many people use your system? How crazy is it that people from all over the world, from Americas to Europe to Russia's eastern border, to use it? I have no idea how many people are using it. Um, based on, let's see, based on how many. So I have about 100 people in the Discord. Um, I think I have about 20-ish unique posters of issues. So I'd say probably about at least 20 games. I don't really know. Uh, it is so it actually that's kind of an interesting thing. So I do write software that is used around the world for a living. including like it's used by the U.S. Department of Defense uses it a couple of different places, uh, and yeah, other countries use it as well. I actually find this more gratifying because I have direct interaction with you guys. Um, a lot of in like a corporate as working as a developer in a corporate environment, you don't get that direct interaction, and so it actually, even though I know millions and millions of people have used code I've written, I think this actually feels more real, like it's actually happening sometimes. So yeah, I don't know how many people use my system. If you guys want to start like, uh, maybe we can give you guys roles in the Discord if you're a DM or something, or if you have an active game using the system, something like that, so we can start tracking that. Because I would be interested to know. It's real for you every week. Oh, you mean do you play every week? I do envy you. I haven't played a game since my son was born. We took a hiatus because we wanted to make sure that we weren't too tired. Um, all right, let's take one more here. Do you have any sort of scheduled numbered list for the development, or is it more free-form sort of development? It is very much free-form. So I do kind of have a system, um, and that is I go from yeah. So if we go back over to GitHub, where is my browser? That's the wrong. That's the test browser. There we go. We go here. Uh, First, what I do is so you can filter this in a lot of ways. The first thing I do is I filter by stuff I've posted, and then I just put a big minus there, so I eliminate everything I've put in, because I want to work on stuff you guys want first, especially now that I don't have an active game. Um, and so then I'll go as far back in the backlog as I can, and I will. Oh, and the other thing is I usually filter so I'm doing bugs first. So this is probably my priority stuff. The exception to that is right now I'm working on an overhaul, so I'm trying to make big changes to the system. Yeah, just clear that. So in this case, I am going and I'm hitting all these big overhaul Jiras. It's not a Jira, it's a GitHub issue. Um, yeah, this is the one I'm currently working on. It's getting a bit big, and so I actually start spinning these off into their own. Which actually this is a really nice feature of GitHub here. I didn't know about this until I started working on this, and I saw there's a little button over here. You can just convert this line to an issue. And I thought that was really neat. Not really important, just something I noticed. Um, yeah, and you've probably seen I did a poll around Christmas I populated that poll from um, cause I don't think I had any bugs at the time, so I populated from all the enhancements, the oldest enhancements uh, that were not reported by me or not requested by me, and I went by the vote on that. Let's see. I'm gonna work on some code for a little bit here before moving on to another. Actually, do I have more questions popping up down here? I do. Yeah, I probably should. Let's work on some of these questions for a little bit. All right. Do you have any sort of? Oh, I just did that one. Do you play any other TTRPGs using Foundry? If so, do you use them as inspirations to add things to your system? Yeah. So I play Pathfinder 1E on Foundry, or at least I was 6 months ago, and I think the only real inspiration I take from it. So I have opened up their code in the past. Um, Not really for inspiration, but because some of the documentation for Foundry, I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm going to say I'm not sure I found all of it because there seems to be gaps. I think I just haven't found all of it. And so I was looking at how to do stuff that they were doing. I also have looked at a couple of different systems for UI ideas because I am I write services for a living, so I don't do any UX anything. I do know uh, nothing with GUIs at all. And so as soon as I started doing this, it was like being back in high school where we had to make our first web page. Because I really my CSS is awful. It's getting a lot better from this. Um, and just figuring out what kind of things feel good in a UI. So some of the earlier stuff I did was a lot of drag and drop. Um, you like the vote for issues? Okay, I think we can do a poll again soon. When how about when I release when well so I think I am going to do a poll this week actually asking how important V11 is for people. Um, so I'll do that poll probably next week. I have the next couple of days off, so maybe I'll do it in there. But I'm probably going to try to take a break from every probably take a break from this for a couple of days. Um, but yeah, I'll do a poll about V11 soon, and then after the overhaul is complete, I will do a vote for issues, and we can try to reorder some of the priority on those. Um, let's see. Favorite Star Wars? Did you start from scratch? I use so there is a system for Foundry. Oh, so the question is, so did you start from scratch or use D&D or Pathfinder 3.e 3.5e seeing from Foundry to set up what you have found? Um, so there is a system called like Simple World Builder or something, and that was kind of my basis. It kind of shows you how to set up like unique sheets. Um, yeah, so pretty much this file is the one that's included this, but I've renamed it since. It was called Simple World Builder. Now it's Star Wars Saga Edition, and it goes through and it does things like unregistering the default sheet, registering the new sheet, unregister the default item sheet, register the new sheet. It does stuff like that. So it's a bunch of like just boilerplate stuff. It was all in one place. So yeah, I did copy that world builder one over and make it's drastic changes at this point. But and now I have man, I need to look up when I do this because this is awful. Um, oh, that's pretty new. Oh, shame on me. Oh no. Once in a while you just think you're really smart, you do something, and then you realize, then you look at it later and it's just, oh, it's awful. Okay. Okay, number 7, favorite Star Wars time period and favorite Star Wars time period to play in. So far, I've only played in the Knights of the Republic era, and for a few reasons, I think that is my favorite era. Well, really, I think my favorite reason is because of just the uh, how many Jedi there are. There's a lot of Jedi, so it feels like a very expansive universe. And the Jedi are not as monolithic as they feel later on. So like Jolie Bindo is he's just an out there like crazy. I wouldn't call him a gray Jedi because I don't really subscribe to the idea of gray Jedi. I think it's I kind of go back to the older George Lucas take on the Force, but he definitely is like a screw the rules kind of like I'm gonna do good, but like I'm not gonna follow rules to get there. He's the chaotic good Jedi, and I think that's interesting considering. Um, I mean, a bunch of the novelizations kind of portray. I mean, that's how Qui Gon Jinn was kind of like that too, um, and but I felt like he was like kind of the only one, and they kill him off right away in the new movies or in the prequel movies rather. So I don't know. I felt like I feel like the Knights of the Republic era just kind of has that feeling of just different schools of thought and different ideas, and also since there's so many Jedi, swords are a thing, which I thought was really cool. Um, uh, other like Jedi are not are commonplace enough where people have seen them before, and while they know it's a bad idea, they'll go into combat with the Jedi without having Force powers. In a lot of the later stuff, it feels like they're so they're so mythical that you see a lightsaber light up and you're like, no, we got to get out of here. They're gonna get us. And I think that's kind of why I think it's interesting. They feel more, it feels more grounded actually from being old. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of why I picked that for my campaign. I would be pretty interested in running. I think a Clone Wars campaign would be cool. Um, After reading through some of the rules for like Clone Troopers, that'd be pretty fun. Okay, why the Deadpool cosplay? Um, yeah, so please invite. Oh, to my game? No, it's. I usually don't play with people I haven't met in person. That's just kind of a rule I've had. It's not like a fixed rule, I guess, but um, I have enough people like in my daily life that want to play that if I started playing with everyone I met on the internet too, I wouldn't have a free night. But yeah, yeah. So Deadpool cosplay. He was kind of my introduce. Not he wasn't my introduction to Marvel comics per se, but when I was a kid, I wasn't really allowed, like I could have comic books, but like my parents were like, "Why don't you get a real book?" And so I only had a couple, and one of them was a Deadpool and Cable book. So I really liked that one. And then yeah, when I moved, I got out on my own. I decided to go to Comic Con the local Comic Con a couple of times, dressed as Deadpool. It was really fun. All right, let's see. Were there any unexpectedly easy or hard things to implement? Yes. um, so specifically, I think nothing was unexpectedly easy. Like nothing just fell into place. I don't think. But hard things. So like the whole idea of having a pilot and a ship is actually really hard because a ship is an actor and a pilot's an actor, and you can't add one to the other. So I had to create a brand new system where they link to each other and they tell each other what they are. They tell each other what the relationship is essentially. They have a little list of relationships to other actors on their sheet, and they say that guy's my pilot, and that guy's my ship, and they link together. So that was actually kind of hard because uh, you can't really set the order that things are updated. So if an actor is updated, you have to go. It tries to take the stats from so a ship will try to take the stats from its pilot. Well, if the pilot hasn't been updated yet, it's going to be wrong, and so you have to make sure it's been updated. So I had to do a lot of workarounds for that. But yeah, that was kind of the hardest one. The old item modification system was also very hard to put together. Um, this new system I'm building is it's much simpler and much more elegant. So number 10, Irish Scotch or American whiskey. That is a complicated question. So I like all three. Let's start there. Scotch is good to be shared with friends. It's a good slow drinking whiskey. Eh, depending on the Scotch, I've also had really awful Scotch. Um, let's see, bourbon. Uh, there's a couple of types of bourbon I really like, and that's more of a casual. It's usually cheaper, and so it's more of a casual kind of whiskey. But also I also prefer to drink that by itself or with an ice cube or something. Blended, I am happy to have Irish blended whiskey. Jameson or Tullamore Dew are delicious when mixed in. I'm a sucker for a whiskey sour, and they both make good whiskey sours. Um, I also really like Japanese Scotch-like whiskey. It essentially it's Scotch, but I mean it's not from Scotland, so it's Japanese Scotch-like whiskey. I like that stuff too, and I've had a couple different ones, and they're all pretty solid. So all right, I see that more are being added to this list here. All right, let's see. 11. Favorite type of build to play as a player. I Let's knock over my empty here. I'm empty. I'm gonna have to get another one soon. Favorite type of build to play as a player. I have never been a player in this game. I've only ever run it as a game master. Um, let's see though. As far as the different ones go, I actually really like soldiers. I like. I'm always a sucker for like fighters and D&D and stuff because they're simple, but there's so much you can do with just that simplicity. And they also, I think they're easier to role play in a way because you don't have to worry about all the different mechanics. Um, but and I probably wouldn't play as a Jedi unless it was like specifically a Jedi campaign because I feel like Jedi are a little bit they're not I don't want to say overpowered because I think they're actually reasonably well balanced, but they are a little bit on the tough side. Um, but I also the technician feels a little flimsy, so I'm kind of like I'd probably play with some of the other core classes if I were to play as a player. Favorite type of mooks and big bad evil guy to run as GM. Oh man, I fell into the mistake. Well, it wasn't a mistake. I really like the Kinrath from Knights of the Republic, and I think now they've appeared on. I think they're on Bad Batch now. I think they've been in an episode of Bad Batch. I thought they were really cool because they're blind. They do hearing and scent based uh, fighting. I thought they were just really cool, and the whole and you could do a whole hive thing, and I did that. The problem was I also was really excited to use them, and so I used them on another planet previously. So yeah, in my last game, they were kind of actually breadcrumbs explaining, oh man, if we're going to start that game, if my players would be like, what? That's why you use it because you just didn't know what else to do. It's not that I didn't know what else to do. I just thought they were really cool, and so I kept using them. Uh, yeah, they're really fun. I used a bunch of Sith troopers, which I think they're just reskinned stormtroopers. Um, I hadn't honestly. My players only got to like level 5 before we had to put that game on hold. So yeah, no, I got a lot. I got a lot of great ideas. I'm trying. What's the book? Um, Red Harvest, I think, is the book. And there's Death Troopers. There are two Star Wars zombie novels. Um, I'm thinking about adapting that as a dungeon. The problem is with zombies that can actually like turn you into zombies. The In a game where your characters are kind of expecting a level of invincibility, like not necessarily being invincible, but they don't expect it to be like and you've been bitten and you're dead, like they don't expect it to be super lethal. It's really hard to get to, so I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I agree it would be a great one shot for Halloween. And I was thinking about doing like a okay, everyone put your character sheets away, we're using my character sheets today, and doing one of those for that, 'cause I thought that would be really cool. um, yeah, no, I really enjoyed both of those novels. If you haven't read them, go find them. You did an Even Horizon style and Predator one. I don't know what Even Horizon is, but so you had like a predator creature hunting them, because that sounds really cool. I would love to do something like that. Something inspired by like xenomorph, like an alien thing where you're being hunted. Anything like that would be really fun. I think as like a one or two shot type campaign, I'd really enjoy doing. Um, Big bad evil guy. I don't want to give away too many of. Oh, it's fine. They probably won't watch it. Let's see. Yeah, I kind of built my own Sith triumvirate for my campaign. There's essentially three new Sith. Um, some of them are even inspired by the previous Sith triumvirate, the Darth Sion, Darth Nihilus, and Darth Treya, but they're different. I tried not to make them too. They're not too. They're not like very similar. They don't even. Um, yeah, I think one of them is kind of like I thought Darth Sign was really cool. The whole idea of him holding his body together with rage was really cool. But the one I created was not that actually very different, but kind of had a bit of that. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger because it looks like it might be hard to see. There we go. Um, but yeah, I had like a smooth talking. Uh, yeah, I also took it. So I believe it's in this game. I don't. Maybe it's in the D6 version. But the Emperor has the ability to like mechanically he has the ability to like hide his face, which makes sense because he in the that's his part of his story is he's hiding who he is inside while he's coming up as a senator and everything. So I kind of used that and gave him a special homebrew force power where he could kind of shapeshift. That wasn't shapeshifting, but it was appear as somebody else. Um, so the section that my players got through right before uh, we went on hiatus, they ran into the same Sith Lord multiple times without realizing it because he kept appearing as different people. And there's usually a hint. There was always a hint of to who he was. Um, and I think that I don't think they got it until the end, which I felt a little bad. I didn't want it to be like super obvious, but I wanted it to be like eerie, and I don't know if that came across. I'm looking down at number 18 down there. Bashington, if you want to hop in on the stream, you can put that directly in the chat, and your stuff will show up on the VOD when this goes up. I'll include all the questions that are in here in the description of the video, but survival or Call of Duty Zombies mode. That'd be interesting. You're a loser without a Twitch account. Oh, that's fair. I had to make sure I had one before I started doing this. All right. Well, I knew I had one. I didn't know if I was still active. I did stream myself playing Fallout New Vegas for a couple of months, a couple of years ago. That was fun. It just became too hard to run as a schedule, so I had to stop. All right. Hmm. I wonder if I text my wife if she can bring me a beer. There. We'll see. If not, that's okay. All right. Number 13. Riffing on Lake Kopix number 9. Completely outside, actually, developing the system for a VTT. From the mind of someone centered on math and logic, though, is there any system details about Star Wars Saga Edition that you see are bad or well designed from a base TTRPG perspective? Um, I don't think there's anything that's particularly bad. What kind of beer do I want? I think there's a honey wheat in the fridge. If you can grab that for me. Thanks, honey. I didn't know you were in the chat. Um, I don't think there's anything that was particularly well or poorly designed. Um, and yeah, I just disabled my camera real quick. Um, I think there's a lot of stuff that's very tedious, like not very elegant. The droid stuff comes to mind. It's very confusing. Once you get it, it's pretty cool, but it's not it's not easy to pick up. And I think that's probably the system that I would harp on the most. Um, the rest of it, oh man, I don't know, because after like working on it programmatically for so long, a lot of it feels like it actually makes a lot of sense. uh, I think there's some underutilized things. So, like for instance, there are a handful of species. Like I think on the wiki, there's like 100 plus species. I know a lot of those are homebrew, but there's only a handful that actually have sexual dimorphism. So there's only a handful that actually have different stats based on their sex. And I think that's kind of an interesting idea, and I know that that's obviously because there's you know not a lot of sentient species apparently would develop that way, but um, yeah, I think you can look at that wiki and be totally unaware that that is a feature of any of them because it's so rare. Um, but it is kind of an interesting idea. Um, yeah, let's see. Is there anything else that's bad or well designed though? It's not a very unique system. I mean, you know, it's a D20 style system with feats. Talents are just talents are really just feats. Like they aren't different. They're just a special feat. You know, it's let's see what else is there. Makes it interesting. No, I really can't think of anything that like stands out. Like the ship combat's just fine. If you're doing a lot of ship combat, I would not. I would actually recommend probably finding a different system though. I felt like the couple times I ran it, and maybe it gets better as you do more. Um, but yeah, the couple of times I did it, it felt very clunky, and maybe that's just not true if you keep running it a lot. I have my webcam off, honey. Thank you. All right, there we go. Webcam back on. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, Bashington. Any house rules you prefer? Um, I don't know if I'm experienced enough running the system to add house rules. That is something I find that you need to play. I don't think you need to play, but I think I did accidentally introduce house rules just because, and some of them I just pulled rules from Pathfinder because I didn't remember how it worked in this particular game. Um, Over the years, I've played like four different versions of D&D and Pathfinder, and I've played a couple of different variations of Star Wars things that were based off of D20 Modern, or you know, all your friends make their own version, and it's like, what, you know, that exists already. Like, no, I made my own version. So like some of the rules started colliding, and I think I did steal a couple of rules from other things. Um, I don't think I've introduced any intentional house rules. Um, oh, that's not true. I did take diagonal movement from Pathfinder. That is something I knew I wanted. Just because otherwise, suddenly you have guys running on diagonals really fast for no reason. Um, yeah, the ship system. Oh, and the ship building system is rough too. And actually, it's really funny because if you look, so they added the ship building system after, and it's very clear it's after because there are a lot of ships in earlier books that absolutely cannot be built with the ship system that is in the book. Um, so yeah, working on the generation for that was actually really hard because it was like, okay, so I'm going to do all these things, but then I also just have to make it so I can override all of the rules. I have to be able to ignore all the rules, and if a user comes in and takes, I think like headhunters, Z95 headhunters, just completely ignore all the rules or something. I don't know if it was that one, but one of them was like that, and I thought, well, what if someone gets one of these and wants to modify it? So it has to be able to it has to override the rules and then act with the rules when the player comes in to modify it. So it has to be able to interact correctly. So that actually was pretty difficult to do. But Forever GM player or mix. For this game, I am current. Well, I mean, for this game, I've only played one game as the GM. I don't think any of my friends are interested in running it just because um, out of my friend group, I'm the Star Wars guy. At least that friend group. Um, But for playing Pathfinder, yeah, I play as a player in a couple of campaigns. Um, I have a really fun time doing that too. I do get made fun of a lot for just finding weird, outlandish characters to play as. um, I don't think I've played a basic human fighter since I was in high school. So yeah, I agree. Oh man, you're over in the other chat and it can't be seen, so I have to make sure I read it before I answer or I respond to it. So Bashington says Zenith Sloth from the Dark Times pod has bent over backwards to figure out how to reliably make space combat fun and balanced. Any system that needs tweaked that heavily to work just needs reworked from the ground up, IMO. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think if I ever do a campaign of this game that's very ship heavy, I will probably find another game and just rip that system out. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like the other problem is if you have any specialized character, like characters don't always all aren't always all good at different at things. So you can really just have an entire encounter in space where somebody's like, I don't do anything because I'm a passenger, and like that's awful. I don't like, and I know that's kind of the nature of it, but I don't really like running games like that where somebody's left out. So and maybe that's just me, uh, but yeah, I'm not a fan of that. All right, let's see. 16. What is the feature you get most excited about when that you've already implemented or want to? Um, oh man, I have a couple on here. I'm really so right now the overhaul I'm working on. I am excited about, but that's only because it's going to make future stuff easy. So what am I excited about? Um, so I don't know how many of you have played Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, but they have an equipment screen where you can equip your character in different slots. I have wanted to make an optional equipment screen like that for a while that will not necessarily like have like an image of a person behind it just because when you start swapping out species it gets confusing, but like so for instance if you had a basilisk character, it would add two extra hand slots. If you have a droid that were on, and this would be part of it, the droid screen. If you added three appendages that you could have hands on, you would have three weapon slots essentially for that. And I have wanted to do this. The whole thing is, it's a very niche thing that a lot of people wouldn't want to use because it kind of limits your play style. So in order to make it work, uh, I'd also have to have like an alternate like a button to toggle between two different loadouts or something, and that starts getting really complicated. So it's something I want to do. I think it'd be fun, um, but like the amount of scope creep involved, and I think that's why I'd introduce it as an optional system that you can toggle on, because the amount of scope creep, and it wouldn't work for everybody. I think it would work for like most, just in general. I think it would work with most people, but yeah, if you start getting into weird things, I just think it'd be really cool if you make a basilisk Jedi, and then I want her to be a woman, and then suddenly she has six arms. I think isn't that right? Male basilisks have four, females have six, or is it eight? I don't know. They have a lot of arms. I just think it'd be cool to be able to like start equipping lightsabers on all. 17. Thanks for keeping the dream alive for us. That's not a question, but I appreciate it. 18. Will you release your now official and complete zombie campaign as a module or the world folder zipped up? Yeah, sure. Honestly, if I do make a one shot of that, I think I would. I'd have to get permission. So I probably would start with some base assets from. Um, there's a lot of base assets out there for like Star Destroyers and stuff, I'd probably not stick with the plot from Death Troopers, but I do like the aesthetic of it being on a Star Destroyer, so I'd probably start there. Um, so if I got the permission to use all those assets in something I release for free, yeah, I'd go for it. All right, let's see. We need dual career tracks for ground and space stuff, like soldiers progressing along space guns stuff. So, yes. Um, Let me finish reading this. Like soldiers progress along space gun stuff. Scoundrels progress along pilot tree. You can sack the normal line if you want to superweight your proficiency into the space life you want. Yeah, no, I think that'd be a good way to do it. And maybe the answer is just um, GMs grant bonus feats and/or traits that you can only use for space. I think that'd be a good way to do it. That's kind of how Pathfinder handles it. They have background skills um, where you can only do it in like crafting and lore and stuff like that, and that works pretty well. But it feels like a tacked on system in that game too, and I think that might be how this feels. So it might need a bit of an overhaul for that. Let's see. Oh, in Bashington, you asked if I went over Lee Kopic's questions. Yes, I did. Um, so yeah, you can check those out on the VOD later. Mm. All right. Well, we are actually at the end of questions. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just saying we're at the end of the questions that are out there so far. Um, so I'm actually going to work on some code some more. So feel free to hit me with any questions you got. All right. Let's see. What were we working on? Let's see. I think I fixed the thing that was broken there. Yeah, that's all working. What was broken? Oh yeah, I can't open actors. That's right. That freaks out. Let's figure that out. That's a pretty bad broken thing. Get cached. Oh, there we go. All right. Cannot read properties of undefined. Reading get cached at Star Wars actor.get cached. What do you mean you can't do that? Okay, so on actor line 146, I'm pretty sure that has a get cached method. Which system have you wanted to play or just thought this would be cool if there was a TTRPG for that type of game? So actually, I have like a stack of books for different TTRPGs that I've either kickstarted or purchased, and I haven't had time to play. Excuse me. Do I have a Kleenex? Oh, the Kleenex box is way back there. Excuse me for a second. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so I have a stack of them that I have been. They're collecting dust on my shelf because I haven't had time to put together a game for them. So I have the Terminator one I kickstarted a couple years ago. I'm really excited to try that one out. Um, and I have a decolonialized Native American game called is it Crow and what's it called? Coyote and Crow. I'm very excited to try. I just haven't had time to put together a time to do it. And the thing is, it's really easy to pick up this like the Star Wars Saga edition because it's a D20 based one, and I know generally how that works. And I don't have to remember a bunch of new rules. trying to learn these other two is going to be a little harder, and so it just keeps getting pushed off. But yeah, I'd really like to try both of them. They'd be really fun. Um, I can't think of any others at the moment that I'm really itching to play. Um, uh, the HP Lovecraft. Is it called Call of is it called Call of Cthulhu, or is it called like Lovecraft or something? That one I think I'd be interested in playing, but it I think I'd want to play it with an experienced game master and myself as a player, because it's a very different experience, and I don't think I'm equipped to run that without seeing it done a few times. But yeah, I think that'd be really cool. All right, let's see. I lost it. Where'd it go? What was the system that got you into TTRPGs for the first time? Got you hooked? So I think the first one I ever played was Dungeons and Dragons 3.0. I played it in high school with a buddy, and we played very wrong. Oh, actually, it's not the first one. No, my dad gave me his '80s copy of. It wasn't. I think it was D&D one revised, or it was D&D two advanced. I can't remember how those numbers work because they're all very different. Um, it was the one that Gary Gygax made to try to knock his buddy out of the company. Like, so it was different enough from the previous version where he didn't have to credit his previously friend for like the rules. So in that one, instead of having species and class, it's a species class. So you're an elf, you're a dwarf, and dwarves are clerics, elves are archers, etc., or something like that. I don't know. But that one, I think I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I wrote an entire campaign. I got my entire family down to play it, and after about 30 minutes of me trying to explain how to play this game, I kind of just I could tell that they weren't getting it, and I got really frustrated, and I just said, never mind. We can play something else. So that was my first go at it. But yeah, in high school then I played D&D 3.0. We played it all wrong, but we had a great time. The game that got me hooked though was definitely Pathfinder in college. Um, started hanging out with some friends where I was working, and we occasionally go and play Pathfinder with some of their friends. So, and then went out on my own and moved away from home, I that's pretty much just Pathfinder for a couple of years. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Cannot read properties of undefined reading. Oh, let me scroll. No. Get cached. Oh, so apparently this cache object is not being defined. But why? Hmm. Interesting. Why is it not doing that? It looks like it's right here. Is that not high enough up? These can actually all go to the top. May as well do that. Okay, let's refresh that. And can I open this? Oh, hasn't died yet. Oh no, there it goes. But it got past where it was. So that means that was the problem. All right, attribute helper 92. It's good when your errors are actually where you're working, because that means you didn't break everything. It means you only broke the thing you're working on, and that's a plus. All right, values.map is not a function. Why is it not a function? Oh, because it's. Yeah, actually, wait. Why is it not a function? It should have defaulted to an array. Huh. So this is one of the other things that people don't like about JavaScript that I was talking about earlier. Um, so what this does is it checks to see if this is a variable, this document.changes. So if there's a property on document called changes, it is true and it returns document.changes to values. If it's not a value, this or says, okay, look at the next one, and it does the same thing where it checks to see if this is a thing. If it is, it returns it sets values to that. If it doesn't, it moves to the next one. And it's kind of dirty because it just does a lot of weird stuff right in a row. And the thing is, I think it's really cool, and I really like just how little work I have to do to check a bunch of different values to see if I want to use it. Um, in this case, the reason this is the way it is because effects put changes directly on document. Items and actors both put them under a variable called system. At least in my version, because haven't been able to get it put at the top level for some reason. It does. I haven't gotten it to work. So all right, how is everybody doing? What do you guys? Oh, there we go. We got another question. How big is your dice goblin? Oh, that's a great question. Um, Not bad actually. I have not. Well, that's not true. I have bought dice since I stopped playing in person. Um, so yeah, around the start of the pandemic, we stopped playing in person with everything. And oh, do I have it? I thought I had my dice out here. I must have put them away. Well, I had a small tube of mini dice. And those are the last ones I bought, or the last one I was given as a gift. Um, I probably have only like a dozen sets. I'm not that bad. But I do have like weird ones I've been collecting as well. Oh, these are good. I found these on Kickstarter at one point, and um, they're 2-inch dice, but they are gelatinous cubes. So you can use them as dice. So they have little skulls that act as the pips. Um, but they also are 2-inch. They fit on an inch grid, and you can use them as gelatinous cubes. And I just thought those were really cool, so I bought them. And I haven't run a game yet where I've used gelatinous cubes, which is kind of a bummer because I think they're hilarious. And um, yeah, I loved gelatinous cubes since I played. Oh man, what was it? Eye of the Beholder, like the really old um, DOS game. They were just so hilariously dumb. But favorite go-to dice sets or luck dice? No, I don't have any favorite luck dice. I do have a set with a matching D6 set that goes with it, and so I tend to use that every time I'm playing like a wizard. But other than that, I um, just kind of grab whatever. Um, the old '80s set my dad gave me did come with some dice. As a 6 to 8 year old, I did lose some of them, but I do still have the D20 from that, so I do use that one pretty often. My wife has reminded me that I have a set that has the faces of the musicians Paul and Storm. I totally forgot about those. I don't know where those are. Oh man. But yeah, there was a they were a band that I was into like in college, and they're kind of like a comedy band. They hang out with like Jonathan Colton, and I really like enjoy their music. It's funny. It's good. I just totally forgot I had dice with their faces on it. What did I? I met them. I met them at a concert or something, and they were handing them out. No, I have no idea where they. It's just like little etched bearded men on them. You can't tell who's who even. So, thank you, honey. I appreciate you reminding me that I have dice with bearded gentlemen on them. I appreciate you calling them click clacks and shiny stone collection. Yeah, that's. Oh man. Yeah, I do really try to not buy too many dice, just because you can only use so many. And if I have a lot of dice, then my one of my friends will borrow them, and he has monumentally bad luck, and he curses every die he touches. So I don't. If I have too many dice, he tries to borrow them, tries to take my luck. I don't know how, but this guy will roll a one like 5 times out of 10. Man, he just constantly is throwing his weapons to the side, and all right. Yeah, I wonder what the heck is going on here. Let's just do a quick. I think I could probably trigger it again by double clicking, right? Yeah, there we go. Nope. There we go. Probably because it's coming back as an object. Okay, that would do it. Document.change. Where's it coming from though? It's coming from document.changes. Oh, my cat's trying to get through the door. All right. Okay, so the problem is on actors, I haven't fixed legacy actors correctly. Um, so essentially, with this new update, I'm doing the best job I can to take your old sheets and modify them so that they work with the new system. There should be no work on your part. However, these are pretty complicated data structures. If something falls through, it can break your stuff. So when you are updating to this, please back up your stuff. If you see any problems, send them to me. I will send them to me. Send the original sheet. Send me the after sheet, and I will make sure that I fix the update. These update legacy functions to handle whatever case you've uncovered. Um, yeah, like moving a data structure around like this and then trying to on the fly update them is not necessarily the best way to do it. I don't know. I haven't thought of a better way to do it yet, and if there is a better way, I hope I think of it before I release this stuff because that'd be much better. Okay. So why is it doing this? Update, safe update. Okay, it's if there's convert override to mode. Um, huh. Okay, that should be fine. Ooh, that's a good question. All right. What was your favorite NPC you played in a campaign and why? The best NPC I ever made. I say this because my players loved him. This was supposed to be a joke character. He was supposed to show up one time and they were supposed to like go what the heck was that and move on. But of course, the group I used it for, they never followed the plot. It was every time I accidentally would drop any kind of uh, detail, they would go running after that detail. Um, so this particular guy, in the middle of the night, they're camping, and a goblin tumbles out of the underbrush with a large like not a sack but like a blanket wrapped around itself over and over, and they get they all grab their weapons and they're about to kill this goblin, and he goes, uh, "Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I have a proposition for you." And he rolls out the blanket, and it's a series of very poorly made suits. So clearly, Goblin made like fine attire, and he starts going through a pitch of trying to sell them this stuff. And I expected them to tell him to get lost. No, they try to buy some awfully made suits from this guy, and they one of them is like intentionally buys like a moldy suit he saw, and he goes, "So what kind of bonuses am I getting?" And I'm like, "You want bonuses? Okay." And I gave him like a bonus to like a +2 to this is Pathfinder, so a +2 to stealth um, in tall grass and forest or something. Like it was a very very specific, but he was like really excited that he had this like moldy green suit that he could wear in the woods. Um, yeah, they loved this one so much. I've reused this character a couple times with a couple different groups because it did not go the way I expected. I thought it was going to be like they'd be like, "Oh, that was really dumb. Why'd you do that?" But they loved it. They were laughing so hard. Um, yeah, no. Mostly just I love goblin characters in Pathfinder. The whole way that goblins are done in that the game is wonderful. All right. So the problem I'm having here is that it is the wrong. Yes, Gabos for the win. Yeah. No, they're just really well done. Um, I was actually playing Rise of the Rune Lords. My character was this is like 10 years ago now. My character was I say loosely, but it was very much just Deadpool. Um, he worshipped the game master as deity. He usually ended up naked with just naked with a knife. Like because the GM loved the character so much, he would randomly just make weird shenanigans happen to him because he thought it was funny. And we're in a dungeon that had a goblin nursery, and my character adopted a goblin child, and the GM didn't like the idea of my character caring for a child, so he killed the goblin child before he left the dungeon. But it was a fun um, it was a fun bit for a little bit. All right, so I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to check if it's an array. Yeah, oof. No, he was trying to set up like this whole like, are you evil enough to kill children thing, and I tried to adopt it, and so like I just totally ruined his plans. All right. Yes. All right, we're going to check if it's an array, and if it is, we're going to return it. Dot system dot changes. And if it's not an array, if it's an object, we don't want an object, so we're going to get the values of the object. Yes. Dot values this dot system dot changes. All right. Let's see if that works. And why is the debugger? Oh, it's because I had a breakpoint in there. That'd do it. Oh, no, that's bad. Update legacy actor. Can convert undefined or null to object at function.values at actor. Wait, what? Oh, actor 2658. 2658? What do you mean you can't? Oh, is it undefined? I gonna hate myself for this later? Maybe. All right. So if changes doesn't exist, this is actually probably one of the other things I like but really don't like about JavaScript is all of this is very difficult to read until you get used to it, and it is just so what this is saying is uh, so the question mark means that if this is undefined, then it won't even try to check this. So it fixes null pointers, and it'll just return undefined for the whole thing. That's fine. But then if this exists, or if this doesn't exist, is what this is doing. So it checks to see if this resolves as undefined, which yeah, okay, I guess that's good, but also it's kind of hard to read, and I'm kind of being a jerk to my future self by doing this. Oh well. All right. So if it is undefined, we are just going to return an array. Hmm. Um. Oh, actually, we can just return undefined, and it'll just skip this part. Okay, let's do that. That's probably better. Uh. Okay, I'm just checking to see if I have any more questions here. Nope. Okay. Yeah, Dark Times podcast. I listened to it like one time. I just keep forgetting it exists. I like. It was actually really nice to listen to while I was working on this because it, um, like just kind of gets you in the zone. Um, the other one being, it's not never on a Sunday. There's a lo-fi YouTuber that does a Star Wars one that's very good, and I put that on sometimes when I'm trying to focus on stuff. And I can't think of who it is off the top of my head now. And I obviously can't pull it up because that would probably do some bad stuff. What was that one character you never got to finish, or did finish their story character arc, but still want to see more? Yeah, so I had a tiefling bard that we were playing a. I can't remember the name of the adventure path in Pathfinder, but geez, what is it? It's not Wrath of the Righteous. Maybe it is. It's yeah. So you're in a city, and the city has a ghetto, and the ghetto is full of tieflings. Um, so naturally, I was like, oh, I want to play a tiefling. I want to. So I play a tiefling bard, and he or was a bard or no, he was so he's a bard and a cleric. So he's part bard, part cleric. He worshipped Caden Kalian, so he's a deity of freedom and like being jovial and um, gives you this really sweet ability where you can use a rapier in one hand and a tankard in the other as and dual up and fight with these. Um, and so my character also had a secret identity. So he was a red tiefling, bright red skin. But when he'd go out at night, he'd so the first time he went out at night, we went in. It wasn't disguise per se, but a little more camouflage. It was dark, so I did like a blue tint, um, because I thought it would make it hard to understand. So he had this alter ego as the Blue Devil, who is like this freedom fighter character in this really cool like story about. I think like the mayor or the governor of the city or whatever it was influenced by devils, I believe. I think it's devils, not demons. They're very different in Pathfinder. But yeah, he was a devil worship and all sorts of stuff. We were the good guys trying to like free the tieflings. And if I remember correctly, there was a bar that we stumbled into, um, and it ended up becoming like our base of operations. And our game master knew how much I liked the show Cheers, and he made all the characters. It was a tiefling bar. He made all the characters based off of characters from Cheers, and it was just the funny. It was the best time. Like it was. Just like there's a mailman tiefling on the end of the bar and all sorts of great stuff. It was a really fun time. All right, let's see this that system of changes. Okay, that should actually work. So doing this where I'm just kind of like trying to hide the errors. Well, I'm just trying to make the errors get past the errors. Usually I come back through it and I do a better job. I clean things up. Oh, and I'm still broken. But the first thing I like to do is make things run again, and then I go back and check. Is this thing actually okay? So it looks like it's not. It's not doing it a bunch. It's just doing it once. That's a step forward. do 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 do. Um, yeah, one character I've never gotten to play, just because every time I get to a campaign, I read the premise of the campaign, or I talk to other players and see what they're playing, and I go with something else. But I've been like just a fighter who uses a pole arm. For some reason, I've never done this because every time I start building a character in a fantasy setting, they always end up with a rapier somehow. It's become a running gag that I can't play a character who does not use a rapier. Oh, excuse me. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I had a magus who uses a rapier. I had a cleric bard who used a rapier, and I guess technically my Deadpool character used a wakizashi. He used two wakizashis instead, but okay. Attribute helper 92. Why are you being a pain in the butt? Cause it's not updating. So I do need to set it. Uh, okay, changes needs to be made into an array. That's not going to reset that actor though, so I do have to do a refresh. And it's probably on the wrong actor. Yes. Oh, that's actually the right actor. That's handy. Okay, so we got changes as an array. Um, weird. Why is it doing that? Let's see. Changes here is an object. It's not adding it to the update object there. Okay. Okay. Let's go. All right. We want it to be on the telekinetic savant. Okay. Checking for questions. No questions right now. Okay. So we go into here. Convert override to mode. Um. Okay. That passes. Ah, okay. This is only for converting to mode. It's not. This is only for converting the override boolean to the mode variable. So what I need to do is also make it convert. I could just get rid of this, but I don't want it updating every time. Um, Yeah, so I don't know if you can tell, but this thing where I'm updating old actor sheets to new actor sheets, not as easy as I'd hoped. Okay, so the problem is it's a hmm, that's fine. Okay, if this is not an array, you're going to take these. Sorry to ask this, but I haven't had the chance to use it. How extensive is the sheet in the compendium? Right. I assume you mean right now. The compendiums, yeah, the compendium's nearly complete. Well, so the item compendiums are nearly complete. Um, I have noticed there are some things missing, so I'm going through and trying to figure out what those are. That's not like right now. That's not at the top of my list. The actor compendiums are. I think I have CL or like CL CR 1 and 2 done. Um, I stopped doing them because the actor sheets were performing so badly that when you start adding more, and so each level of each CR, the sheets get more complicated, and so they take longer to run. And at one point, they were performing so poorly that the more I added, it just like it could take like I don't know how long it could take to run because I never got that far. Like it was taking like 5-10 minutes to start up, so I backed off of that a little bit. Um, Yeah, so right now I'm kind of just working on making sure that it's very usable for users. Like creating things is easy, and my goal is to, and I've done. I mean, I kept mentioning like caching and stuff. I added a bunch of different caches and stuff within the sheet. So at one point, every time you would request an attribute from an actor, it would go through this whole process of figuring out what items there were and what items you could inherit from, and what attributes were on those items. Now it does that one time. It has a list of all the attributes that are available, and the next time you try to get it, it grabs that list and then pulls out the ones it wants. So it's a lot faster now. It still isn't. I mean, every time I refresh, it still is like a 30-second thing, and there's only two actor compendiums. It's still not great. Um, my next step is to make it so that those compendium actors don't reload every time, and they only load when you look at them. Because why should they be? I mean, you don't care. You don't care if they actually load unless you want to see them. Like they don't do anything otherwise. So why am I? Why are we loading these at start? So I got to figure out how to do that. And actually, that's one of the things I'm excited for in V11. They have changed their database. So that actually might fix some of the problems, but like I wouldn't bet on it. I think the problem actually is how my code is running. So okay, this thing's not an array. System.changes. Yeah, so we're gonna add the system.changes. Oh dang it. Oh, there we go. Update. Dot. Oh, there you go. There. Yeah. After this overhaul, though, if everything's going well, I'll probably move on to an overhaul of the vehicle system, just because it hasn't gotten a lot of TLC lately, and I've gotten a lot of requests like, hey, I can't like do anything with this anymore. Yeah, as I've slowly changed the regular actor, the vehicle actors are just they're struggling a little bit. And this is why you should have integration tests for all of your code. And I do regret not starting this project with that. All right. Yeah, that should actually maybe fix it. Probably didn't break it more. 2260. Can I convert undefined to object? Okay, fine. Well, that looks good. Hey, it's back. Okay. All right. Yeah. So as you can see, I have added this new changes tab, and oh come on, really? I was really excited to show that off, and then it just didn't. That looks like a loop. Oh, great. Okay. Yep. There it is. All right. So what it's doing is every time it updates this legacy actor, so calling safe update calls the built-in update function. Calling that built-in update function calls the prepare data function that it then calls this update legacy actor function again. So it just is going in a loop, which is why everything's frozen. Let's see. If that's false, then it should move on. That's going into the normal workflow. Hmm. So it's calling it here. Doesn't call it in here. No, it adds it to the update object there. Hmm. And it comes right back. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. Hmm. Okay. That's a cool, unrelated looking thing. It keeps trying to update the base attack bonus to not a number. Oh boy. Okay. Okay, well, let's go to where it does that. Is a character. Weapons, armor, equipment, traits. Resolve offense. It's right there. Ah, okay. Ah, okay. So that fancy thing we were doing earlier in the attribute helper, it made it go to not a number. Um, okay. So now when it's resolving base attack bonus instead of staying null like it should, well, maybe it shouldn't. I don't know. It is going to not a number. So at some point in that reduce function we were working on earlier, it's trying to multiply or subtract a something that's numbers and letters. That's not. It's not a number. Um, all right. Inheritable attributes. Reduce array. All right. So somewhere in here, it's hitting one of these two and breaking. Okay, we want to go here. Mm, no, not here. Here. Actually here. Okay. Drop down to there, and then we want to go down to reduce array. Set the next breakpoint right here. All right, so we have values. They are. Oh, I can't look at that, can I? It is up a level. Mode undefined. Ah, there's the problem. Okay, the mode is undefined, so we need to set a default. I am going to do. I think probably setting the default to add is the best. So we're gonna go like that. We're gonna go default. Okay. Probably don't need all these breakpoints anymore. Maybe do. I don't know. If it breaks again, we'll look again. There we go. And it should stop breaking. And oh, hey, look at that. I think it stopped looping. No, it did not. Okay. Or it's just running on a lot of stuff, but I think it's looping. Uh, okay. Let's see. Updates. I don't want to like just say ignore it if it's not a number because it could be a problem that's causing it to turn to not a number. Okay, let's try that again. Let's go back to, yeah, there. And then, oh, that's weird. Why would it do that? Oh, maybe I need to refresh again? Oh, wait, what? That's not a. Okay, that's interesting. Add. Is subtract not a thing? Subtract is not a thing? Oh, that's weird. I thought it was. Custom multiply, add, downgrade, upgrade. It's not a thing. Okay. So when it hits that, it just. Oh, that's actually really funny. Okay. So I'm trying to use I was trying to use subtract. Subtract doesn't exist, so it's undefined. So every time the thing's undefined, it tries to subtract. Really, I just need to go like this. Okay. I could have sworn there was a subtract one, but okay. Um, it does simplify things a bit. Yeah, that cleans things up a bit. Custom multiply, add, downgrade, upgrade, and override. Um, yeah, keeps the greater value of the base value and the effect value. Oh, okay. Now I understand what those do. I can probably do that later. Okay. Cool. That probably should fix the problem then. All right. Well, let's ask a quick question. So, okay, I don't know if I want to try to say this Vaslayak. I, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. You said you liked voting for issues. Is there an issue that's currently in currently on GitHub that you'd like to see done soon? Is there something that you're hoping for coming up? Oh, actually, it looks like you may have left. I can't tell. How do I tell that? Hmm. Here, let's bring this over here.
On the jail call,
No,
but we
stop that.
supposed to.
The opposite of what I want. Okay. Uh, no.
When you keep in your mouth.
Absolutely the opposite of what I want. Yeah, never mind. I'm not gonna try that. Not very good at Twitch, apparently. Okay. I was trying to see who was still here. I don't know how to do that. Okay. All right. Let's see if that is still trying to loop then. Teleconnect Savant open just fine. It is. Oh. Nope, still doing it. Okay. Well. But yeah, so this is one of the things I've been working on, trying to make sure that on your sheet you can see everything that is being created. Oh, so it's not even gonna let me scroll because it's refreshing too fast. Um, So as you can see, as you hover, it tells you where it comes from. I'm probably going to do something to improve this, like tell it maybe class colon Jedi so you know. Um, I think if you get it from a second level or higher, it should. If you get it from one of the levels, not just like the base thing that the class does, it should tell you what level. I can't show that apparently because it is um, scrolling every time it refreshes. And this is what I get for trying to show things off while I'm in the middle of doing an overhaul. Uh, all right, let's see. Where's I? Here, let's do that. Okay. Oh, that is giving me a nasty string of handlebars things. I bet it's the same thing. It is, but now it's null. Okay. Mm, let's see. Let's go back here. We are going to. All right. So what is it finding? It is finding an array of 4 things. Base attack bonus value 1. Source string Jedi. That should be summing them together. Okay. So we go in here. All right. So A value is undefined. If A value equals 0 and B is not a number. Why is it doing that? So it should be. It should be starting at 0. A should be 0. Oh. Okay. So A is 0. I bet. Yeah. So A dot value doesn't work. Okay. It's because I changed these from numbers to objects. Okay. Okay, so we want this to be actually start as no, no. There we go. I bet that fixes it. Okay. Hmm. I'm gonna check something real quick.
All this. Go back like 20 seconds.
The hell is going on? No. Okay, I guess I still can't do that. Oh, maybe I can there. Ah, there we go. Um, All right. Let's see. I think this is gonna be my last bug for the night, and then I'm gonna call it. And oh, I really thought that was it. I still may call it soon. It's gotten very quiet, and we haven't had a lot of questions recently. I think I've gone through all the ones that I had. Yep. Okay. Well, I think that's going to be it for the night. So in the next couple of days, look for a poll asking how you feel about V11 and how important that is for you for this to be updated to that. Um, Also, I'm going to put a poll out there asking how people enjoyed this. I know there weren't very many of you, but it seemed like those of you that were here had a good time. Hopefully, so if you liked it, we'll do it again. Probably not for another month or two, but um, let's see. And yeah, I will. So the VOD of this should show up on Twitch. I don't know when. It should automatically set it up for me. I will also upload this to YouTube probably tomorrow morning. I'm probably going to go to bed at this point. So yeah, thank you everyone, and have a great night.